Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 4th. I'm Diane Sare, president of the LaRouche Organization, and I'll be standing in for Harley Schlanger on Wednesday mornings as he prepares for the Wednesday morning webcast with Helga Zepp-LaRouche, which I would encourage you to listen to today. It is on Ignore the Experts, Peace is Good. So that will be coming in just 3 hours after this update, and I hope you can listen to it. Now, we are 47 days from the inauguration of President Donald Trump, and it appears that the controllers of the outgoing Joe Biden administration are doing everything they possibly can to disrupt, derail, undermine the incoming administration. Anyone who is actually a true patriot, whether you like the next president or not, would wish them to be successful. But instead, you see a massive escalation vis-a-vis Ukraine with the use of long-range missiles, the Russian response. You see the attempts to overthrow the Assad government in Syria yet again. You see the destabilization in the country of Jordan, where you have a Western kind of coup going on, run through the president, who is born in France, after all, and she is clearly a puppet of the West. It is very much like the Maidan coup that was done in Ukraine in 2014. You have a truce, which is very tenuous, between Hezbollah and Israel, not likely. I don't know that it's going to hold. There's already various violations, and Israel needed it because they're not winning the war. Their troops are exhausted, overextended, and there is growing dissent internally because it is very clear that what they are doing is genocide against the people of Palestine and Gaza and the West Bank. Again, the Israelis just bombed a hospital in northern Gaza, killing at least 36 people in the last 24 hours. Winter is coming there. The suffering must be unbearable. So it's very unstable. You also have Korea, where the president declared a state of martial law and then undeclared it 6 hours later. By the time you're watching me, the government of France may have fallen because the head of government, the prime minister, Bernier, was presiding over massive austerity measures while the military budget has increased by 40%. And many people in France correctly perceive that they are being made to suffer so that this insane policy of arming Ukraine to fight Russia can continue, very much like we in the United States are paying for having a war with Russia, including now, it sounds like, losing American lives. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that on November 25th, they struck a staff facility at the Kraken military headquarters and killed 40 mostly American military specialists. The US has not denied that. So everything possible is being done to destabilize the situation. And incoming President Donald Trump is not particularly helping himself by making foolish comments, both with regard to threatening nations that wish to leave the dollar that they'll have 100% tariffs. And I think their response will just be, okay, goodbye. We can trade with the BRICS. We don't need the United States. So that isn't so smart. And then threatening Hamas over the hostages, where you have a population, a Palestinian population, which probably has about 200,000 dead at this point, if you estimate who is buried under the rubble. So he's going to threaten people who are starving to death and being killed in large numbers. That's not so great either. So we need real leadership, and we need a policy, and every American should work to make sure that, one, the world is not destroyed before the inauguration, and two, that the incoming administration is able to succeed, whether you think you like President Donald Trump or not. We need peace. That's why he was elected, because people have had enough of these wars, and it's for us to hold him to it. So to that end, I wanted to share with you the pamphlet just released by the Schiller Institute, which in a sense is the study document for the conference this weekend, which I hope all of you will be attending. The title of the pamphlet is Development Drive Means Billions of New Jobs, No Refugees, No War. For more on this, see my last two symposia on Friday night. They're on the LaRouche Organization website. And I just wanted to give you a little teaser to get you to go read the pamphlet online, order hard copies to get to your friends. Contents, the introduction: development means billions of new jobs, no refugees, no war. The actual migration issue is genocide. The Americas and Europe, great projects in Ibero-America, Southwest Asia, Eurasia, and Africa. Of course, if you're developing these nations, people will not want to leave. Why risk life and limb and the future of your children when you could stay at home, speak your same language, and do something productive? That's how you stop the refugee flow. And not only that, the role of the West. The United States and Europe are both collapsing massively. We have a very low birth rate, our standard of living, we don't have energy, we've gone mad on all this green solar and wind nonsense. But nations in Africa and South America want development. So why don't we produce? For example, Nigeria needs, I think, 72,000 new tractors. Isn't that a job for John Deere or Caterpillar? How many American workers could be hired producing that? That's the gist of this. Here you see the youth as a percent of total population. In Africa, 40% of the population is under the age of 15, and only about 4% of the population is over the age of 65. In India, 25%, and that's the world average, of the population is under 15, and about 7% are over 65. Look at the US. Happily, we still have certain number, almost 20%, under the age of 15, and under 20% over the age of 25. And then look at Europe. They have very few young people. Obviously, that's a crisis. Food consumption per capita. Look at Mexico. Look at the collapse. The green bar is 1981, and the bright red is 2023. In the consumption of beans, which is definitely a source of protein, particularly among poorer people where you don't get a lot of meat, animal protein. This is very significant, and the consumption of beans has dropped about 80%. Corn has increased. Rice has collapsed. Wheat has collapsed. Obviously, that means a collapsing standard of living. That might be a reason for migration. This is a map of where people are migrating from into Europe. And you can look at the countries: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Congo Brazzaville, Cameroon, Kenya, Ethiopia, etc., flooding into Europe, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone. If these nations were developing, again, people would stay there. Libya, Hillary Clinton's great project, where she destroyed the country with the murder of Gaddafi, and it's never recovered. This is the newly opened port at Shanghai in Peru. So from Shanghai, China to Shanghai, Peru, you have a whole new trade route. They don't have to go through any other countries. And once you get a transcontinental railroad in South America, the whole thing will develop as American presidents Garfield and McKinley envisioned, both of whom were assassinated. That's for another time. The OASIS plan, LaRouche's program, modernized from 1975 for economic development for a Palestinian and Israeli state based on massive desert greening, desalination, etc. I know many people think a two-state solution is impossible, but I think we have to start with the 1967 borders. That's the last internationally recognized agreement. And I'll tell you, if people are not living in refugee camps, but in modern housing, modern cities with clean water, electricity, and healthcare, I think a lot of things could be resolved. Africa projects. Look at this, the collapse of US manufacturing employment down almost 50% from 1979 until 2011. It began to go up a little bit, but imagine if we were producing what they need in Africa. And here is one of LaRouche's famous bar diagrams showing you the red, which is waste, unemployment, debt. The purplish color is not productively employed. All of that may not be useless, but a lot of it probably is. It's day traders, and I don't know, if I say things, people will be offended by what I think is not that necessary. So use your imagination, but there's a lot of waste in our economy that doesn't produce, doesn't help people. Then this yellow area, which is healthcare and education. If you have a more technologically advanced economy, then people will have to stay in school longer. You're going to need more instructors. People will live longer. You'll need better healthcare, etc. Research and development, only about 2%, now increasing to 5%. This is the proposal for what could happen between now and 2045. Look at manufacturing, that needs to virtually double, more than double. This is the kind of economic transformation we require. And as one person pointed out, you can look at all that, and I didn't once talk about money, did I? Because money has no intrinsic value. So once again, I'm happy to see you all this morning. I'll be seeing you every Wednesday, and I would encourage everybody tune in Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for the Schiller Institute conference, Saturday and Sunday all day. Also Saturday at 4 p.m. if you can travel to Washington, D.C. Scott Ritter is holding an event there with many experts to warn of the danger of nuclear war. So the Schiller Institute conference, the Scott Ritter event, and the Schiller Institute conference on Sunday. I will be speaking on the fourth panel Sunday on the question of culture. Hope to see you there. Get the pamphlet and